The Flyin Lion says,
boys, hell is real.
2023 Supporter Shield champs.
So glad that I can be back with people who know that it's a Flyin Lion.
It shows how much we all love this club.
Yeah, just a fan of the sport, you know.
It's definitely tougher to be an academy player than it is a pro.
In this club, you don't play just for the club, you play for the fan.
Jersey swap, car of the week, trivia question of the week. Welcome back, everyone, to the Flyin Lion podcast, a new partner of Chatterbox Sports. We are very excited about this new partnership. This will be our first episode on all of the Chatterbox YouTube and wherever you find all of your podcasts. So check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts as well. We'll give you guys game recaps. We'll give you guys immediate reactions for away games and unique segments as we'll get into this episode. So thanks for those who are newly listening to us, Sam, but for those who are back and listening to just another episode, thanks again for joining us. We're going to talk about all things FCC. The first part of this episode, we're going to chat about just the season so far. What has 2025 looked like for those, again, who are just getting into FC or maybe, just wanted to understand a little bit about what's going on with this team in the city. We'll give you a little bit of that, and then we'll really dive into what everyone wants to know. Our immediate reactions about some All-Stars for FC Cincinnati, and then a big match day 20 win against Orlando City away. So we'll get into that second part of the episode. We'll dive into a little bit of FCC2, our jersey swaps of the week, our cards of the week, and we'll kind of walk you through what those look like. And then a little bit of U.S. men's national team, U.S. women's national team action as well. And then we'll cap it off with a preview of Match Day 21. But Sam, that was a lot to say there. But how we doing?
I know we got a lot on the docket here. For those people that are just now joining us, like Ryan said, we're excited about this partnership with Chatterbox Sports, and giving you guys a new perspective. I think it's been a while since Chatterbox has had an FC Cincinnati perspective, and so us coming on and be able to shed some light on what we do best, and that's just talk everything soccer, FC Cincinnati. But yeah, like Ryan said, state of the team so far. Right now, we are sitting second in the East, third overall in the Supporter Shield standings. So Supporter Shield would be your winner of the regular season, and then you go into MLS Cup playoffs. So yeah, Ryan, it's been, first half of the season has kind of been somewhat of a roller coaster. May was not quite the month that we thought it was going to be, but June has been real nice. Yeah.
Again, so for those who follow us regularly, you guys know this, where we're at in the season, but we're a little past halfway for those who are new and coming in and wanting to follow this team. Like Sam mentioned, this has been a solid ride for a few years now. With new ownership, not new ownership, new GM, I should say, yeah. New coach, coming in with Pat Noonan, but just with all these new players this year. So Evander and Kevin Denke are star players, and again, new signings. We flipped over from Lucho Acosta of last year, and we've moved on to this new generation. But we've done really well. It's been a little bit of a rocky ride here and there, but like Sam said, second in the East, third overall in the standings. Can't be mad about that. We're just coming off of 3 away wins, all in June. So then we'll be back at home starting in July, actually this weekend. So again, we're going to preview that one later for you guys. But very excited about what's to come. But the state of the team and the vibes right now couldn't be higher. We're riding probably arguably one of the higher points of the season so far. And we look to build on that. For the guys that we had mentioned, though, maybe one of them got snubbed, as we roll into the All-Star conversation, Sam. So Evander and Miles Robinson were named to the MLS All-Star team. The roster was selected through a combination of fan, player, and media voting. But we do possibly have a situation where I think some players could be added potentially as well. So I know we said Denke, gets snubbed. He's got 11 goals on the season in MLS play. But we'll see what happens. This is Miles Robinson's second consecutive season for us to represent the orange and blue. And then Evander, his second career All-Star roster as well. He was there last year. But for Portland, multiple All-Stars for several years in a row, Sam.
Yeah, not bad. I know maybe Don Garber, MLS commissioner, maybe his favorite player is Kevin Denke, right? Maybe that's what we're hoping. And he used, one of his 2 picks on Denke there. But yeah, real cool honor to see Evander and Miles Robinson there. Obviously, Miles Robinson right now with the U.S. men's national team. We'll touch on that a little bit later, but yeah, really cool to see those guys get into it. I know if you guys remember and had been following us for a while, we talked with Carter a little bit about the All-Star game and is it going to get diluted because of all the other competitions going on in, the U.S. and in the soccer sphere right now. So we'll see how this kind of shakes up the next couple of weeks. But we will kind of preview a little bit more of the All-Star, more voting, different things later on in the podcast. But yeah, like we said, excited to see these guys get their deserved due.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's always cool to see, these FC Cincinnati guys representing on that stage. Yeah, we'll see where that goes. Like we were mentioning, I think in a prior podcast, like the validity or like what does this look like?
Yeah.
Is the question. But match day 20, Sam. Let's roll into it because a 2-1 victory against Orlando City away that now puts us 12-3-5 overall. Our third straight away game. That's always tough. And then with several guys, injured rolling into this one, you had Orishano out, Kubo out, Santos out, Robinson, with international duty, Hagwin still out, Obi. I mean, what are you going to see out of this squad? I mean, that was my first reaction in knowing the day ahead, like, okay, Orishano's questionable, but I didn't see any photos of him traveling. Like, what is this team going to look like? So what were your original thoughts, I guess, seeing the lineup?
Yeah, I mean, the lineup, you're coming into this game, like you said, if you listened to our preview last episode, I mean, we were talking about how tough Orlando is to play, and they were sitting 5th at the time in the table. And you and I think both had predicted draws, right? So we're coming into this game, we know that we're missing Obi, right? That happened last game. But seeing Orishano be questionable, you're like, oh, he'll be fine. He'll travel with the team. He'll go down. And then you see the starting lineup come out and you're like, oh, he's nowhere to be found there. But yeah, I mean, like you said, rotated squad. You get the past 2 games, you had Kai Kamara up top. Then now you get Dado Valenzuela up top. So playing maybe a little bit more between the lines for Pat Noonan rather than playing the ball over top to Kai. But what did you think about that switch up top?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because you had seen things work so well with Kai, and Denke there. So yeah, I think it's definitely a matchup thing where maybe you feel like you can break the lines more, like you just had said. With Dado, it's a little bit different of a look in how you want to build forward. You don't have that big other target guy that take the pressure off of Denke. So honestly, I wasn't sure how that was going to play out with that. Ended up ultimately being okay, and they figured it out. But we had been asking for Dado to find some time. He wasn't even a sub, I believe, in the CF Montreal game. So, deservedly, he gets 60 minutes out of this one. Questionable, like if he even made a huge impact, for the match, but different day, different conversation for that. But yeah, I think with what you had in the rotation and seeing Anunga, step into that starting spot, seeing Engel, go back out wide. He had been in left center back role for the past couple of games. And then Hidebe, Hidebe hadn't really had that much of a starting role in a while, I think. Since he had an injury. So it was going to be an interesting kind of look on how we would roll out the first 20 minutes, Sam. It was a little bit of a feeling out process, I would say. For us, we didn't want to give up huge chances. We didn't want to start down, on the road. You never want to do that. Roman had 2 great saves to kind of help us to ease into the match a little bit. Evander testing the keeper, I think on a long shot.
It bounced a little bit. It was difficult.
Yeah. We were sitting in the pitch, watching this one with everyone. And shout out to the pitch people, just awesome atmosphere for those who go down on away games. It's a good time. But yeah, I think Evander has that shot from outside, which I don't know how teams don't know that he's going to be hitting the ball from outside by now.
You give the guy 5-10 yards of space. He's going to try and hit it from, well outside the 18.
What's underrated in this play, though, is Galese makes the save, but he injures his hand on it. I can't tell, if he had dislocated a finger or just jammed it. But that's relevant because several minutes later, we end up getting a goal. So we'll chat on that here in a minute. But I felt like the first 20 minutes were fairly even. You start to get a little bit more of a battle going, though, Sam. Around the 33rd, 34th minute, I believe it was, there was a scuffle where Miazga was just taking on any of the players, because I believe Flores goes down, he gets shoved, and Pasalic is going over for Orlando right over top of him. Questionable. At first, I thought he had spit on him. But yeah, I think you're always going to see Miazga going over, defending his player. I think he ends up getting a card on it, but he's always in there. He's the captain as well now.
Yeah, I thought it was nice too. Yedlin was the first guy in there, over there too, like another guy who could be a captain for our team, standing up for one of the younger guys. But yeah, I mean, like you said, like Matt's over here, he's little dark arts, right? He's playing the mental game with the Orlando guys.
Yeah, so I mean, I think things are building at that point. We don't necessarily have like a rivalry or any like bad blood, but I think the bottom line with this game, if you look throughout the whole game, was just Orlando getting frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
Their coach was getting frustrated on the side, Oscar Pareja. You could see him just visibly heated. Some of the calls they didn't feel like went their way as well, but honestly, shout out to our players for not losing their composure.
Yeah.
We've seen that in past years, and we actually did end up having it. I know, Miazga's going and stepping up for his boy, but past that, they didn't let that dictate the game and how, frustrated Orlando was and trying to shove them and do all these extra things. But Sam, right before the break, like I think we had been calling like, hey, let's get a goal before half and even frustrate this team even more. 45th minute, +3 and added time. We have this free kick from outside. And I mean, like I had mentioned to you earlier, was, anytime you have this free kick outside of the box or a long opportunity for Evander to shoot, like you got to think that the guy's going to go for goal. He did it earlier on in the match and he skies it over. But he's on the side of the field where he could shoot on his right foot to the front post, the back post, like it's going to be hard to whip it over Galese there. So he's more likely to play a cross in. And he just catches Galese off in the front post. And what a brilliant free kick this was.
I mean, Galese, what is he doing? He's all the way like near that far post, way too far. And it wasn't even like he was paying attention to his wall. It was just, he was just that far over, right? He wasn't even thinking Evander would try it. And Evander tries it, sneaks it in the kind of right bottom corner. Galese, I mean, he tries to save it, but more just like jumps on the ball, like as it's going into the goal.
I've hardly ever seen a keeper like try to dive like while they're going into the net. Like the ball's already past the line. Yeah. By that point, I'm celebrating and I'm like, well, he was on the ball, but he's inside of the goal.
He's in the goal. Yeah.
But yeah, his third free kick goal of the season, Sam. Now 6th in the last 2 years, more than every other club in the MLS besides us. So. We had 4 free kick goals last year, actually, which is pretty impressive. But it's amazing. This guy keeps outdoing himself.
It's one of those. It's one of those like if you're an MLS goalkeeper, if you don't know, now you know. Like you should know by now.
You should know. I mean, and he hits it in such a way where I don't know if it was like I think was Lucas Engel over there as well and fakes it kind of like he's gonna in-swing it.
Yeah, a little bit.
And then Evander, I don't know if it's the way he positions his body to make it look like that ball might be whipped in for a cross. But I mean, shout out to them. I think if you go back actually, Sam, and look at the post-game comments, I believe one of our goalkeeper coaches had done some scouting on their free kicks for Orlando and kind of gave Evander some pointers on what to look for and how they were going to position themselves, where the keeper might be. And shout out to them for doing their research on that, because it paid off, and so right before the break we score, we go up into half and you're feeling pretty solid on the road at that point, 1-0. Second half, I think the real big thing that happens, you had that run out by Dotto for 60 minutes. Kai Kamara comes in for the last 30, and it's a little bit different of a look when you have Kai in there. He gets an opportunity one-on-one with the keeper, and I'm thinking, man, this is his time to get his first goal for FC Cincinnati. One-on-one, a beautiful pass by Evander that would have been another assist by him. But yeah, he shoots it right at the keeper. I think he was trying to maybe like chip around him. A little bit of poor execution on it, but
yeah, it was more the shot. It had some bend on it, just not enough, and it just went right at the keeper because keeper got big, Galese got big, and I mean he made the save, right? So I mean that was a chance there, but Ryan, I mean once again. the MVP candidate shows up here in this 72nd minute. We get another Evander goal.
Yeah. I mean, I want to say one of the like cleanest goals I've seen us score as a team. And
Yeah.
from a counter perspective, like the Toronto one earlier on in the season with the back heel, the ball by Evander over the top to
Yeah.
Kubo, like that one rivals this goal. But a beautiful counter where Buko plays Danke. You have numbers 3-on-1. This is kind of like, you do the 3-man drill when you're in basketball, and you're like
Yeah,
deciding
3-man
draw the
weave. Yeah,
defender
yeah.
in,
Yeah.
find the guy on the side. Well, yeah, Danke carries it pretty much towards like the top of the 18, plays it out to Evander, who just does a little bit of a shoulder drop onto his right foot, slots it away, like the smoothest finish.
It was
Like,
one of those
unbelievable.
finishes where, like you said, it's literally just a slight little shoulder dip,
The
and
little, yeah.
he's like got him. Like I knew what I was looking for. Like defender kind of moves his hips a little bit, and Evander's like, all right, bottom right corner, here you go.
Yeah, I mean, in that point, 2-0. Orlando. They show to the Orlando team. They show.
Yeah, there was a couple fans in the stand.
I mean, they're
hand on the head.
They're like in disbelief. I think like beginning of the match, Sam, I pointed this out to you. They had put like 49% as like the win probability for
We had
Orlando.
like 20, 25.
It was
I think
kind of
for us.
crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, for this
Little
to go up 2-0,
disrespectful. Yeah,
it was a little bit disrespectful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same token, we also called for a draw in our preview. But yeah, so you go up 2-0 and you're feeling solid about it. You want to close out the match with a clean sheet. You want to get to where you don't give up a goal. Hadebe comes out of the match in the 83rd minute with an unfortunate injury. He's not able to put any weight on his foot. We're not sure still the status. I didn't get any word, after.
Yeah, I know you and I were like, is it the hamstring again? Because that was something he's been dealing with, all season. So
we didn't really even get a really good look at kind of like the play itself and how it happened. But yeah, he goes down, and I think Alvis Powell has to come in at that point, and the Noonan ball takes over, Sam, towards the end of the game. Like it wasn't there. Like we went for that second goal, but then the Noonan ball shined through. For whatever reason, we just can't keep our foot on the pedal and keep possession. Because I mean, okay, Orlando's at home. They're going to be pressing. They're going to look for opportunities, but there's a way to kind of kill it off. And it just felt like we were trying to like take wave after wave. And you see one play where, I mean, their guy was wide open in front of the net and skies it over. That's got to be one of the worst misses of the year in the MLS. It would have been 1-2 at that point. The second one would have been tie if he puts it in. So we're kind of lucky in a way.
Oh yeah, big
but
time.
at the same token, like defense finds a way. That's all that matters. And a 1-2 or 2-1 victory, I should say. We'll take it any day. Again, another 1-goal victory.
Yep.
For those who haven't been following us, haven't been seeing anything, FC Cincinnati loves to win by 1 goal, whether it's 1-0, 2-1. You're gonna, if you want to bet money on any game for FC Cincinnati,
1-goal game.
Bet the 1-goal game. Like you're always gonna get it.
Was it every single one of these June wins was 1 goal, correct?
No, the Montreal was 3-1.
Montreal. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
3-1. That's right.
Yeah, because it was a little bit different.
Yeah, a little bit different. Yeah, we were like, hey, let's get 1 more goal. Like
coming out of this one, Sam, I mean, FC Cincinnati definitely got some deserved credit for what has been going on, this month, but especially in this week. In this match, Pat Noonan gets the coach of the match day.
It's about time.
For those again who aren't familiar, the MLS will put out every week or every match day the best 11 and then the best coach, and then they have a bench of people that are honorable mentions as well. But we had 3 guys. We had, like I said, Noonan. We had Evander, who gets the player of the match day, and then Matt Miazga was on the bench as well for team of the match day too. So awesome to see, and have those guys. I think this is Pat's first one of the season. In years past, I think he had probably 3 or 4 for each season. So trending in the right direction there. But Sam, if we want to talk about some big storylines coming out of this one, MVP Evander?
I mean, I'd like to think so. I mean, he's sitting at 18 goal contributions right now. I believe it's 3rd in the MLS right now. So, I mean, Ryan, he's slowly but surely, climbing up the ranks. And like you've got right here, he's silently, very like sneakily and silently just taking over games. You kind of, you'll go into, 40th, 30th minute, you look up in the 75th minute, he's like got 2 or 3 goal contributions, and FC is winning by 1 goal. But yeah, he's been incredible this season so far. Definitely my MVP. Obviously, we're biased, right? I think we're
very biased.
Yeah, very biased, right?
There's moments early on this season where you're calling for him to do more, but I think he's a very intelligent guy, and he's trying to, find his spots.
Mhm.
And you're seeing now in this part of the season where he's really stepping into his own and finding where he can contribute and make his mark, honestly.
You could see the swag. Like this last game, that last goal was disgusting. It was so filthy. After that goal, he ran over, celebrated into the corner, and it was kind of one of those moments where it's like, yeah, I know what I just did.
I mean, it's unbelievable. We got this guy for, $12 million. I think I had seen so many national pundits just rave about this player. I mean, Evander's unbelievable.
Yeah, a steal at 12 million. Can you believe that?
If you look at the comparison, Sam, let's get into a little bit of, Evander v. Lucho situation.
We don't do it often. We don't do it often,
but we're going to go there just for a second. I mean, and you look at what you've gotten out of this player this year, going from what we had last year, getting a new guy coming in with a whole new squad, a whole new striker with him,
Mm-hmm.
18 goal contributions.
Yeah.
Contributions. There's the word. Contributions. And then Lucho, I think, is sitting at 6. So, I mean, it's amazing to see how much he's integrated into the squad and been able to do it consistently now. 2 braces now, Sam, in 2 consecutive games. So 2 goal games.
Well, I think that speaks to, like you said, the newer viewers, newer listeners here. I mean, all the common FC Cincinnati fans that may not be regular listeners or watchers. Everybody was upset about Lucho leaving, right? Everybody was like, why? Why are you getting rid of our best player? I think it's safe to say at this point, it should be very clear to everybody that Chris Albright made the right move, and we let Chris cook. That's the ultimate thing here is you're getting a guy that's younger, and he's going to continue to get better. That's the dangerous thing, Ryan. Like, we're getting this guy in his prime.
Yeah. You're right. I mean, and like you're saying, is it's only going to get better. He's only going to build in confidence. He's only going to build in his chemistry. And he's just such a likable guy in the locker room, it seems like. And he's being a mentor, to Dado, and he's doing all the right things. But like I said, he's a silent killer. I think if there's one thing, the guy's got like so much swag in the way that he plays, but it's kind of like I don't even know how you would describe it. It's just like all of a sudden it's like, man, he's got 2 goals and out of nowhere, we're up and we're winning. So yeah, it's been fun to watch. I'm excited to see his continued rise, on this team and what he looks like in the MLS. The immediate question that, I had been asked is, can we keep this guy? And, man, another season or 2 out of this, he's already been over in Europe, but if he's continuing down this line, where does this go for Evander?
Yeah, it's gonna be real hard. Gonna be real hard to keep a hold of him, especially if that transfer value continues to go up. 20 million plus at this point is almost like a guarantee if you want Evander off of FC Cincinnati. But yeah, I think the hope, Ryan, is at least 2, 3 more seasons out of him. Maybe we get like 2 or 3 straight MVP seasons, or
Yeah, I mean, right now, like you're talking about, the MVP race. We're looking at some Golden Boot guys, some guys that have the most goals in the season in MLS. We're looking at the likes of Messi, who's always going to be up there as well. But I think Evander and a lot of his game-winning goals and his moments, and the most valuable player for their team, like. His goal contributions, we're saying 18 now, and we've had 30 goals, I believe, on the season.
Well,
right?
you talk about us having, these 1-goal games. If Evander doesn't have a brace,
right,
we lose 1-0. So
yeah, it's been, again, fun to watch. From a team perspective, is this the second biggest win of the season? Would you say the Nashville one away, I think, is up there? Because obviously, if you look at Nashville now, they're sitting in 3rd in the East, but Orlando's one where I think we always struggle a little bit. I always get a little bit worried about how we play them, especially on the road. But I felt really, really good about the team and where we're at now coming out of this match, especially with so much rotation, Sam. I think I think Orlando's missing some guys too, but like we were able to get the job done.
I think this one is big too, just because it capped off the month, right? The month of June that we had, it was one of those things where you and I both thought, okay, there's going to be some rotation, like let's just get a draw, right? And I think that's what everybody else thought. And FC went in there and took care of business and capped off June with 3 straight away wins. So yeah, I think that's why it's kind of sticking out a little bit too, is as a statement win, especially now we're going to be running into, some decent teams here in July. So, yeah, obviously I think we're 1 point behind Philly because they dropped points against Columbus, correct?
Correct.
So it should be good. This is the second perfect month of June, right? So second perfect month of the season that we've had. And then now FC Cincinnati are 12-3-3 in all competitions in June since the start of 2021. So, I mean, Ryan, did we jinx June? I don't think we did. We
were premature about May.
Yeah, jinxed May a little bit, but June, I think we were fine on that. But yeah, I mean, we've got some Evander stats at you, Ryan. You want to? He's setting some more records, dude.
Yeah, since the start of the 2024 season, only MLS player to record at least 25 goals and 25 assists. Like, oh, is it Messi? Oh, is it Lucho? No, it's Evander, man. He's been absolutely incredible. Even last year with Portland and this year with us and picking up on that. Again, new team, new players around him, new coach, everything. Unbelievable. Cool to see. But yeah, I think for me in looking at the way that Evander and Denke are combining, Sam, you see Denke play Evander on that second goal. They've now accounted for 27 out of the 31 goals for FC Cincinnati.
Is that all comps?
Just in the MLS play.
Okay. Jeez, Pete.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty crazy, like without those two. But that's where you spent your money. Like if you really want to break it down, and for those who aren't familiar, like Atlanta United spent, 30 million plus, between Almiron, Latte Lath, and what do they have goal contribution wise between, their guys who everyone was saying like, let's see how these guys play.
Yeah.
Evander and Denke are the best duo in the MLS. I'm calling it right now.
Yeah.
Mark it down, tweet it out. The best duo in the MLS, Evander and Denke, right there. Number 9, number 10.
Absolutely. I mean, 27 out of 31. You're getting your money's worth right there. Chris Albright, the ownership should be like, hey, right there. We got the goals. They're doing their job, right? Speaking of them doing their job, ladies and gentlemen, trivia of the week. We're running into the half of the episode here. Ryan, I got a good one for you. It has to do with the guy we've been talking about in the first half of the podcast here. If it took Evander 22 matches, Ryan, with FC Cincinnati to get 20 goal contributions in all competitions, how long did it take Lucho in his best season, and which year was that?
Man, I'm going to go, 2023, because that's his MVP season. I'm going to say it took him all competitions, 27 matches is what I'm going to say.
Okay. All right. Ryan's locking in 27 matches. We'll see what it is at the end of the episode. Stick, through, and we'll give you the answer here at the end.
Hey, everyone. Just a quick message from Ryan and Sam here at the Flyin podcast. We wanted to share some exciting news with you. The Flyin podcast has officially partnered with Chatterbox Sports. We are very excited to be a part of the Chatterbox community, as they have proven to give you the very best coverage of Cincinnati sports thus far.
For those who are new to the Flyin podcast, we cover FC Cincinnati news, game recaps, analysis, and unique segments such as our trivia question of the week, jersey swap of the week, card of the week. Give us a listen on our post-match shows on every away game on Chatterbox YouTube and our weekly episodes wherever you get your podcast. Thank you again for your support.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks again for joining us tonight. And a huge shout out to Chatterbox Sports, who we now have partnered with. We're very excited again about this and what this looks like going forward. Many opportunities, I'm sure, in our future to expand, our audience, the FC Cincinnati fandom, and get really people that may have not really, known much about FC Cincinnati, but want to get into it, or they've been to a match, and they love the atmosphere, but now they want to do a deeper dive. Come join us. Come follow our episodes. The second half of the episode here, we're going to do our jersey swaps. So for our player of the week, essentially, and the guy that we would want to go and trade that jersey with, we're gonna give you. And some of these are going to be shockers. Other times it's going to be like, well, I could probably pick out who this is going to be. So we'll do that first, and then we'll do our card of the week, which is more of our like bonehead play of the week or our funny take of the week. In something around soccer, either, in the MLS with FC Cincinnati. Typically it's around, something related to the refs or the MLS in general. So we'll roll into those as well. But on our winning weeks, we like to do our jersey swaps here first.
Absolutely. So, good vibes.
What do you got for your jersey swap of the week?
Yeah, so jersey swap of the week for me is going to be Lucas Engel. Ryan, these past two games he's been incredible. Filling in at center back and playing, back to left back a little bit. He had the assist against Montreal, as well as a match leading 14 defensive actions. He won most of his duels out of any FC Cincinnati player in the Orlando match as well, and is tied for the team lead in tackles this season. He's been all over the pitch. The question is, Ryan, is FC Cincinnati's healthiest lineup out there as him as a left back or as a center back?
That's a great question. I think prior to the last few games, I would say that Engel's off the team sheet and Orishano's, on that left wing back spot. But especially now with Hidebe, out. Your question was when healthy.
Yeah, the healthiest lineup.
If everyone's healthy, like, how do you leave Engel off the way that he's been playing?
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think you slot him into that left center back role and you have Orishano out wide. But yeah, good shout out for him. I felt like some games in the past have not been his best, but he's kind of come into his own on that side there, working with different players, like you said, whether it's Orishano out there, whether it's him next to Hidebe. There's been so much rotation on that left side of the defense.
Yeah, you've asked a lot of him as well.
You've asked so much of him to play next to, Flores, to Robinson, to Powell, like whoever it's been. They've done a serviceable job. So I do want to give him a good shout out on that. He doesn't make the, team of the match day. Miazga does in this, but I think that's a really good shout for him, in this game. And he had a tough task with Perisic out there. I know that he scores a goal. That's not necessarily even on Engel, I think, in that moment. But it was a tough matchup. I think that guy should have been probably an all-star. He wasn't named to the all-star team. But, yeah, he did a decent job on that outside left back spot.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Ryan, who's your jersey swap of the week here?
Mr. MVP himself. I have to go with Evander. I mean, what a player. We've already raved so much about him, but this is a guy that is just coming into a moment and saying, I'm not going to be Lucho. I don't plan to be Lucho. I don't want to play like Lucho. I'm going to do me. I'm going to play the way I want to play. I want to be the magician that I am. A little bit of that Brazilian flair you see on the free kick, and then dicing the guy up to score his second goal. I mean, it's only going to go up too. I mean, that's the exciting part about it. So, but for me, Evander has really shown his quality here recently. And does that now lead Sam to more of a leadership role for him? Or is he okay with saying, hey, I'm going to leave it to other guys, but I'm just going to do what I do best and everyone else can follow my actions?
Yeah, I think he's been that guy, right? When we need a goal, he has stepped up the past couple games. I know earlier in their season, we were waiting for that person to kind of fill that gap, because I know Denke had five? He's got 4 or 5 game-winning goals, I think, right, to start the season. So he was that guy to start out, and then you get into the April, May, and it was kind of lost. And I mean, you're talking about a guy who just got his 4th brace of the season in back-to-back games. He's got 2 braces, so that's ridiculous. He is just on another level right now, the way he's playing. I just can't wait to see him continue that into July. Let's keep it going.
Well, we're going to need him. I mean, you're playing
yeah.
some tough competition, between the Miami, the Crew, Chicago even. So yeah, I think if he runs his heater into July and then we go up to Leagues Cup and Evander's still looking at, I think you got to run him, like we were saying, into that MVP race. This was a very similar situation to Lucho from last year, Sam, if you look at it, and where those guys kind of had peaked in the middle of the season. I hope we don't see the dramatic drop off like we had seen last year.
Or the injury.
True. That was probably a big part of what was going on too. A lot of other things, behind the scenes as well with that, but that's for a different day. But Sam, card of the week.
Card of the week for me, for those of you following the Gold Cup, some international soccer out there. It's been interesting. We've had a lot of different results this past weekend, honestly, that we'll touch on here in a little bit. But I want to touch on specifically the Canadian national team's coach is actually from the U.S., Jesse March. His comments, Ryan, after this match that they lost to Guatemala, I mean, before Canada got into the Gold Cup, Marsh had said, "Oh, every single one of my players, every single one of my star players, hey, they wanted to come. They wanted to come play at the Gold Cup. None of them said, hey, I want rest. I want this. I want that. They all wanted to come." And then after they lost this game, he says, "Well, if I'm being honest, we're missing half of the group." So it's not the best look for Canadian national team right there. And going into the tournament, they were definitely all talk.
Yeah, I mean, you got to back it up then too. I mean, if he's gonna basically throw shade on the U.S. players for not, showing up to camp, and then you lose in that fashion, but you are like, "Oh, well, we didn't have all of our main guys." It's like, okay, well, why are you?
Yeah, which one is it? Yeah.
What are we doing? Which way is it? So, Jesse, I actually really do like you as a coach.
I know he was one of our candidates, and
he's a guy that
we're ripping him now.
Been up there for that spot, but what are we doing with these comments, man? Maybe he just was, I don't know, upset in the moment or whatever it was. But
yeah, Ryan, card of the week for you.
Yeah, for me, for those who, again, had seen this earlier on in the season. So Kevin Denke scores in Chicago, and, it was right around the time, unfortunately, Aaron Bupenza had passed away, and he goes and celebrates and pulls his jersey, over his head and celebrates, but in a way that honors, one Bupenza. Well, Sam, in the Columbus Crew game this past Wednesday, Andres Herrera scores in the 23rd minute. And what does he do? He does the same exact celebration that Kevin Denke did early on in the season. Kevin Denke gets a yellow card for that in honoring, a late player for FC Cincinnati. I think Herrera was, maybe doing this for a family member. No card. So which way is it? Are we going to enforce the law of the game here, or what's going on? Does it not apply to Columbus anymore?
Yeah, I guess not. I saw this. You had tweeted it out. I think midweek, right? It was on Wednesday,
right after the match.
Yeah, right after the match, and you just couldn't believe it, right? It was one of those where, like, really, this is what we're doing, and I just couldn't believe it. I think it's ridiculous that.
Do they need to rescind one of the cards for Kevin Denke then? Like, if this guy does the same exact thing and doesn't get a card.
Remember that's what when it initially Kevin Denke got the yellow, right? Everybody, I'm pretty sure, like, one of our cards of the week, right, was that this needs to be rescinded. That you need to appeal to the MLS, and FC Cincinnati did that, and the MLS was like, nah, like we're still going to give him a card.
I can't remember if they actually had gone in for it. We talked so much on that episode about, what warrants, the yellow card. Does it have to lift it over his head? Can it just be he lifts it up and show? Like, this guy does the same exact thing as Denke. I have a side-by-side for those who want to go check out my Twitter. I have my handle down below now, and go and see my tweet about it. But you can't enforce it differently. It's the same rule if that's the way you want to be about it. So why do our players get the yellow for that and theirs don't? It just doesn't make any sense. It shouldn't be a yellow either way. There's the bottom line.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
why are we enforcing it differently? Is the thing. I just want consistency. Give me consistency. If you're a referee, obviously it's different refs. Obviously there are different moments, but you can't tell me like it's the exact same thing.
So
what are we doing?
I know we'll touch on it here in the next couple weeks, but does this mean, Ryan, for the Columbus match that everybody walking into the stadium has to have their shirt over their head?
Or everyone in the Bailey after we score in front of the Bailey,
Yeah.
and celebrates it. And
You got to give us a yellow? You gonna give us?
The shirt underneath says, "Is this a card?"
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I would love that. I would
That-
absolutely love that. But we're a couple weeks away from Hell is Real. We're excited about that one. But FC Cincinnati 2, Sam had claimed another 2 points. So our youth team, our next pro team, has been doing pretty solid here lately. They played New York Red Bulls 2, who entering that match was the top team in MLS Next Pro in the Eastern Conference. They go into this game where we end up tying. It's situation in Next Pro where you go to PKs. That's a little bit different than the MLS rules. Sam, what did you see in this match?
I saw a team that, like you said, had been coming in with some decent results, and they're running into a New York Red Bulls 2 team with a 6-game win streak, best team, in MLS Next. So definitely a tough task. But Ryan, this was a back and forth game. It was a 3-3 draw going in, after full time, going into the shootout. And once again, just our guys put away the shots. I think it ended up being 8-7 in the shootout. So, I mean, once again, if nobody's familiar in MLS Next Pro, if you win the shootout, you get 2 points instead of just the 1 point for a draw. So it's a little bit of an extra incentive there to win the shootout. And ladies and gentlemen, FC Cincinnati 2 is still perfect in shootouts. They have yet to lose in shootouts this season.
Need to bring up this keeper if we ever get into PK situations. I mean, I know it was, I think, 2 different guys. It was Paul Walker and one other keeper. But yeah, Sam, Andres Davia made his first FC Cincinnati 2 appearance. This guy was touted, I believe, coming out of South America as one of the best prospects, under 20 players in the world, actually.
Yeah.
There was an article about it. And I think he's been out with an injury, but he gets a goal in this match and just kind of shows like the potential that this player
it was a little bit of a worldie as well. I know it was, I believe he flicked the ball like over his head, and I'm not sure if it was quite a volley, but it was left foot, bottom right corner. It was one of those where it's like, okay, like if you're going to have a first goal, in your professional, in the States, that's the one that might be pretty good to have.
Pretty memorable.
Yeah.
Let's see if it translates to the first team, like we're saying. But yeah, now 4 positive results in a row for them. They've moved up to now 12th in the East. So for how well our first team is doing, our second team is slowly working their way up there. Their next match is going to be on July 6th against the NYCFC 2 team at NKU. And that is those matches are all free. You can go and find some tickets out there on SeatGeek. You can go for free. Take your family. It's a great atmosphere out there. You might even see one of us out there. We like to go to some of those games too. So excited for them. Hopefully they can get their 5th positive result in a row and keep that run going. We'll transition a little bit into some national team talk now. So we like to talk about the U.S. Obviously, it's easy to kind of pick on what's going on with the women's team, Sam, being at TQL Stadium once again, a 4-0 victory against Ireland. What a crowd. There was over 24,000 people there on a pretty warm Sunday, afternoon. Everyone was excited to see if Rose Lavelle was going to make an appearance. The crowd boosted everyone and really got the manager to put her on. And she comes in for the last part of the game. She scored and had an assist in the match before. She doesn't get a goal contribution in this one. But Sam, we were talking earlier in the podcast. We were at the pitch, watching the away match on Saturday. We just missed Rose visiting.
10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Yeah, the U.S. women's team had stopped by and was hanging out with some of the fans, so that was cool. But another positive result. I don't think that the women's team has lost in Cincinnati, and I'm pretty sure the men have not had a loss as well. I don't know if we can have somebody that could correct me on that. I know we got a tie against New Zealand last year, but I think it's all been positive results in Cincinnati. So I think they're going to keep coming back.
All good. Yeah.
24,000 people.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, I mean, it was a hot one, and, most of TQL is covered, so it's not terrible, but yeah, 24,000 people for a U.S. women's national team game against Ireland, who they had just played Ireland on Thursday, right? So, I mean, once again, they get the dub. And yeah, like you said, the crowd was chanting, "We want Rose." Even their teammates were getting in on it. Like,
I love it.
Kind of pushing Rose, like, "Hey, like, let's go. Come on, warm up a little bit." And so coach finally
highlights
gets her out there.
Match, like that Cincinnati has one of the best atmospheres in the world for soccer.
Yeah, we do.
Shout out Rose. I mean, Rose knows.
Yeah,
Rose is one of the leading voices.
If that's not a T-shirt yet, Ryan.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Rose knows. Come on,
Rose knows.
Rose knows.
It'll work for baseball and for soccer. Rose knows.
There you go. It's a dual shirt. It's Rose Lavelle on the back and Pete Rose on the front, or vice versa.
That's an idea. Something about a Rose in Cincinnati. I'm telling you.
That's why we're on Chatterbox Sports now. We've got the connections to put this together.
Idea there. Yeah. I love that. I actually really like that. But yeah, I think for to have a big showing like this, Sam, in our city, we've seen it with Club World Cup. The timing was a little bit off, for those matches, and the attendance maybe wasn't as heavily attended. You get this at 3, on a Sunday, and everyone shows out. Obviously, it's your national team. You want to see it's a little bit different than, a random team in Europe, this and that. But those are the best teams in the world too. Side note. But yeah, I think you show out, you support this team, you support Rose. And for all those young girls out there, my daughter, even in the future, I'm excited to take her to these games. But how bad do you think that the women's league, if we want to talk about that, the NWSL, wow, we picked Denver and Cincinnati is doing this?
Yeah, selling out 24,000. Well, almost selling out. But yeah, 24,000 like that. Nothing.
Yeah. Little salty about that.
Just a little salty. But,
the men's side, Sam. So the men's national team is playing in the Gold Cup right now in this tournament where we are in the quarterfinals. We played Costa Rica in a back and forth match. What a match, actually, if you're watching this one. I don't know about this U.S. team. We've talked about it in the past. You can say what you want. They gritted out the result. Shout out to Matt Freese in goal in the PKs. He just had a phenomenal 3 saves. Our FC Cincinnati player, Miles Robinson, unfortunately was not used. He was a sub, but did not get the selection. He's still, as we know of right now, not injured as well.
Yes,
so hopefully he's getting his fitness up in training. But I would love to have a sharp Miles Robinson for some huge matches that we have coming up. So I'm still a little bit upset. I was very conflicted. Like, in one aspect, it seemed like at one point, man, is the U.S. going to go out of this tournament? Are we going to get Miles Robinson back? But at the same token, it's like, man, I'm happy for him too.
Well, this is right. So if anybody follows the Gold Cup at all, this is the year that the U.S. men's national team is supposed to win it. So it's every 2 years, and every other time, it's either Mexico or the U.S. Mexico, U.S. And this year, if you look at it, we're supposed to win. So I don't know.
We're expected to win everyone. Come on, let's be honest.
Yeah. So,
but even with the rotated, squad and everything, we do play Guatemala. They actually had a huge upset against Canada. So on Wednesday, we could see them move on and maybe have Miles Robinson get in. No, I don't think so. I think Tim Ream is probably staying back there with Chris Richards. But could we meet Mexico in the final? They play Honduras coming up, so that again will be the huge matchup there. Sam, I don't know. What do you think?
I think we squeezed by Guatemala. We actually got a good taste of the Guatemalan fans when they came to TQL Stadium.
Good shout out.
Very, very passionate fan base. Very cool to see them out there. A lot of the stuff that they wear was like half U.S. men's national, or like half USA flag, like half Guatemalan flag. So very cool. But yeah, I think we'll squeeze by them, and I mean, it's destined, right? We face Mexico for every final that there is. Obviously, I'm hoping we pull out the dub, obviously.
Yeah, Gold Cup final would be on July 6th. So FC Cincinnati plays this Saturday, July 5th. Interesting to see, what happens in terms of, okay, we have that. Then we have Hell is Real, July 12th. Then we host Inter Miami, July 16th. So I think we're going to get Miles Robinson back, for those big matchups regardless.
Yeah.
But it would have been nice to have him against Chicago. Too bad. It is what it is. We'll roll into our preview. Match day 21. We're playing Chicago. We're finally back at home, Sam. Our first home match since May 31st.
It's been a while.
We've had a pretty solid run at home. We actually did have a loss last time against DC United, which just looks kind of silly now if you look back on how DC's been playing. But Chicago is 8th in the East. They are a sneaky team. There's moments where they look really good. There's moments where they look really bad. They just played Charlotte and won 3-2. Earlier this season, we won 3-2 at Soldier Field. And guess what? Who had a brace, Sam? Evander did. So I'm looking for a solid matchup in this one. This is going to be Greg Berhalter, coming back to Cincinnati. If you look at, I believe when we played the Crew, the first ever matchup against the Crew, was it not Greg Berhalter who was their manager, I believe?
It was. When we were talking to Carter earlier this season, we were talking about some headlines, some possibly, coming up, and it was that matchup in Chicago against Greg Berhalter. It was that US Open Cup, us taking down the Giants, if you will, at the time. But yeah, I think this one will be interesting, Ryan. Like you said, Chicago has kind of been back and forth. They've won 3 out of their last 5, but lost 2 out of their last 3. And I believe their losses came to Philly and Inter Miami. So very good quality teams there at the top of the table. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what we get from the Chicago team because they're sitting in 8th, like we said, in the East. What do you think? What's your prediction for this one?
Yeah, I think, for me back at home, I'm going to go a 2-0 victory. I really feel confident coming out of how we played in Orlando. I think Denke gets back on the score sheet, and then I'm going to go with Orishano. I'm hoping that he'll be good for this one, but I would love to see him get one. I think Evander's going to have an assist at least, and continue his contribution streak that he's got going. But I feel solid about where we're at right now, even more than we had in the past couple weeks before that. I'm going to look now to kind of see. I don't believe Chicago has a ton of guys out.
They're pretty healthy.
And then I don't think they even had a ton of guys that were on international teams that they had been called into. So should be a pretty solid matchup. Sam, if we look at guys that were out for us, in the last match, of the guys that were out, if we kind of walk back into it, we had Obi, we had Orishano, we had Santos, we had Kubo. I think were the big ones. Of those guys, any guys returning for this one? Obviously, we can't predict where these guys are at, but do you think we see at least a few of them coming back?
Yeah, I feel like at least Orishano and possibly Kubo. I know Santos is still getting there. Obi, probably you won't see him. Maybe.
So. It'll probably be more like 2 more weeks or so, hopefully.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say the 2 that you'd likely see, if any, would be Orishano or Kubo, if I had to guess. But yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, similar squad that you saw this last match, I would probably guess.
The one caveat, we talked about it earlier, was Hadebe. So what did he have coming out of this? I don't know. We didn't really get word yet. I think the guys are off typically on Mondays. So by the time you're listening now, Tuesday, hopefully we have an update.
Status report.
Sam, if he's out, assuming that he's not going to be able to play in this one, who do you have, in this scenario in the back line?
Engel, Miazga, Gilberto Flores. You roll with it. These guys have been playing really well. Flores has been playing pretty decent. He's got Miazga in the back to pick him up a little bit. Miazga's got the brains and Flores has the speed. So you put those 2 together side by side, it helps out a little bit. But yeah, I'd say probably Engel.
Someone argue about the Miazga brains in some situation, like maybe like the experience, but
yeah,
he's got the dark arts. He plays mind games.
That's what I'm saying. He's got the best, arguably the best brain. If you're wanting to, either get in somebody's head or tactically. Like he's a smart guy.
Yeah. All right. Fair. But I would agree with you. Assuming that Orishano is there
Starts
and
on the left
healthy,
there. Yeah.
you put him at left wing back, and then you probably slot Angle there. I still think in a situation where you're down a lot of center backs, why not try a 4-back system? Again, this sounds crazy coming out of this match where you beat Orlando. You
3
look
wins in a
really
row.
good
Yeah.
in this setup. Like, why switch it up and do something different? Let's be honest, they're probably not going to by this time. Like, if they were going to do it, they would have done it 3 matches ago when it wasn't going well. But they're solidified in what they're doing. We've kind of found our footing in this situation. So I'm going to throw that out the window. But yeah, I think if Orishano can slide in there, Engel next to him, Miazga for, I feel pretty solid about those guys. It's the depth then. Is it Powell? Is it Yedlin that might slot into that situation if we have guys that go down or late on in the match? Sam, I think Anunga is another guy that I could see having another hopefully solid match. Him and Buka have been playing fairly well together in the middle there. And then the question again would be just if Dado or does Kai Kamara get a start up there? I think by this point, like Kai's played with so many teams. I was going to say like Kai's playing his former team, Chicago, but like half the league is Kai's former team.
Yeah, no kidding. Based off of the last match, I think you start Kai just because you didn't really see enough from Dado to throw him in that starting role. Now, do we see similar what we saw the 2 games prior to Saturday, which Dado comes in for Kai up top, and you have a little bit more speed and coming off the bench because Santos is out right now, so you're not going to get that guy. Santos, phenomenal pressing striker there. So that is probably what you'll see up top if I had to guess. But Ryan, you went 2-0. I'm going to go 2-2 in this match. A little bit more of a draw for me. Don't ask me why. It's one of those things where Chicago is, you don't know what you're going to get. I mean, last game, right, we won 3-2. So we had to, it was a high scoring game, had to squeeze it out. So I don't know. I think 2-2 is what I'm going to go with.
You're killing the vibes, Sam. Come on, keep the vibes going here.
I want the vibes to be good. I don't want to kill the vibes. I just trying to be real out here.
Is that a good result? Obviously, like you want to win, but in that scenario, you had 3 wins in a row. You get a draw, but I think like if you win and then you're going into Crew Miami at home, I mean, I would feel just so much better about that. Like assuming everyone's healthy, like I just want those 2 games in a row just to kind of set the tone. If you look at where the East is, there's not a lot of separation and there's very little room for error at the very, very top.
Yeah.
This matters because, as we look into playoffs, we're way kind of far away from that, but the seeding matters and you want to host, obviously this home match. If you're a first seed, then you get a bye. So that really is the important thing I would look at for, the playoffs and where we're at. But this stretch is going to be very important. And this starts at home with Chicago. Let's start it out. Let's get this win, and ride into some huge matchups where you're going to have huge crowds, big atmospheres, and hopefully some guys back as well. So that's our preview for the Chicago matchup. I think we had kind of sneaked it a little bit, but all-star voting is still going on for captain. So Evander's in the running for that. He's not the captain of FC Cincinnati, but he's in the running for MLS captain as they play the Liga MX All-Stars. That weekend is now going to be on July 22nd and 23rd, for that. The captain vote is opening up here in just a few days on July 3rd. So I know the FCC supporters out there will be there and voting for that. So excited to see. Maybe Evander will sneak in like he's been sneaking some goals in.
Yeah.
But Sam, before we go here, you got to give us our question and answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So trivia of the week, it was if Evander, he's got 22 matches with FC Cincinnati. He's got 20 goal contributions in all competitions. I asked Ryan, how long did it take Lucho in his best season to hit that same mark and which year? Ryan, I believe you said 2023. And then you said 27 games.
Correct.
It was actually 23 matches. Whoa. Right. I know. Right there. Evander beats him out by 1 match.
Wow. So that was 2023 in his MVP season.
Yes, sir.
His form right now is better by 1 game. And I believe I don't know, like, the matches that they missed, like, how many games that equates to, right?
Yeah.
Well, you did say it, though. It was 22 matches.
Mm-hmm.
So, wow. I mean, that's impressive.
Yeah. So I believe it was 22 matches played, right?
Okay.
So you're talking like, I think Lucho missed a couple games. It may have been like,
Right.
because I was looking at the dates, right? Evander just hit 20 in June. I believe Lucho hit his like July 14th or
Okay.
something like that. So he had missed maybe a couple games.
So he did it maybe in less matches, you think? But
Yeah. Evander did it in less matches than Lucho did, and he's played more, at the beginning of the season than Lucho did in 2023. But that's pretty crazy. It was, it's that close.
yeah, no, absolutely. Hopefully he can continue that run and set some more records. I mean, we talked about it so much on this episode, but hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks again for joining us. We are the Flyin Lion podcast. We're now featured as a partner for Chatterbox Sports. Go check out all their videos on YouTube, on their website as well, wherever you find your podcasts. Again, you can find us anywhere, Spotify, Apple Podcasts as well.